OK， 那很高兴今天大家早上来参加我们这个2月份的分享会。好，那我们这次特别邀请到2位讲者来跟我们分享一些跟游戏开发相关的事情。那我们早上这边是不是先请大家这个跟我们2位讲者打一个招呼，鼓个掌好不好？好，那当然2位讲者那个资料我们在官方网站上，就是活动页面上面都已经介绍过了。那一位是椰岛游戏的 Wesley， 那因为他现在比较不方便做 video chat， 所以他用声音跟大家聊。那右边这位是 Justin， 就是 FTL 的作者。好，那 Wesley，are you okay to start?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay. So I'll just jump right into the question, okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay. 好，那 Wesley， 我这边我就用中文问哦。
可以啊，可以，没问题。
好。那就是我想请教，就是椰岛这边，因为台湾这边大部分的开发者其实都是大部分是从这一次你们发行返校才获得，就我们才知道您就是在上海这间公司。那可是但是实际上你们很早以前就投入了就是 smartphone 游戏的开发，然后也发起了最早的几乎是中国最早的独立游戏开发者这个社群。然后现在也开始转投入 PC 的开发跟发行。那像这样子的过程，你会跟我们介绍一下是为什么有这样子的转变一路下来？
好啊 ，OK 啊。对，实际上我们开始做游戏开发的时候，最早就是做 iPhone 游戏嘛。因为那个时候实际上，大家听得到 ，OK？
都听得见，我们这边很清楚。
OK， 所以因为在那个时间点，是因为我们在中国大陆的话，其实在那个时间点是我是09年开始做 iPhone 游戏嘛，那个时间点，只有在中国市场上只有端游和页游的市场，就所谓的 PC 的 MMO game 和那个 Web game，完全没有这种可能单机向的，就是有玩法的这种游戏的这种市场。在当时中国完全没有，所以那我们看到，就我对那样的游戏，我对那样的大型的网游其实并不是很感兴趣，而且也不太懂，所以我只想做一些觉得有趣的游戏嘛。所以一开始我们就是切入的点就是 App Store， 那当时 App Store 实际上是一个比较小的像一个小花园一样，就大家可以随便在里面做点小游戏，非常小的游戏，但只要有趣，就可能会有一些机会。在09年、10年、11年的时候，所以那个时候我们就开始做一些小游戏，然后放到那个 App Store 去做一些尝试。所以我们的开始的时候就是从一个就非常小的这种状态开始的嘛。然后实际上直到，但是问题是，就是我们有一种那种类似于主机游戏情节吧，就是我觉得可能想要做大一点的游戏，想要让自己的游戏能上 console， 所以到了，但其实之前一直没什么好的机会。我们之前做One Tap Hero 的时候，其实想要上那个 PS4，想要上 PS Vita 之类的，可能都会比较困难。但是之后，直到2014年那个 Xbox 和那个 PS4 进中国的时候，他们找到我们，所以我们有机会去接触到 console。那从那个时间点开始呢，就我们包括业内的很多人都比较看好，比较看好中国的大屏幕的市场，就包括 console 也包括 PC。所以从那个时间点开始，我们就介入了一些这个方面，我们就开始介入了这个方面，对。然后直到去年到16年的时候呢，实际上是一个 PC Steam 游戏在中国区有一个很大的增长。Steam 的市场在中国有很大的增长，而且当时来说，整个中国就是比较渴望中文的内容，中国的玩家比较渴望中文的游戏内容，所以我们在想说，是不是能够带入更多的游戏，进入中国的大陆的市场，所以其实就选择做这个发行的这些业务，这样，对。
OK， 所以 是一直到去年为止，您才在就是中国这边看到说，就是 PC 跟 Steam 这边的玩家突然间增加很多。
对，其实实际上我刚刚漏说一点，就是14年底开始做所谓的大屏幕，就是 Xbox 和 PS4 的市场的时候，实际上当时大家虽然很看好，但2年过去了，实际上整个市场并没有起来，所以这2年中，就是很多人也做了一些努力，但是其实没有什么反响，直到16年的时候，就是 PC Steam 在中国有反响之后。才会有一些比较好的市场反应，然后这个市场才慢慢起来这样子。Yeah.
Okay. So Justin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was just asking Wesley about like his like in the past few years how he come from the smartphone market and to the PC and Steam, and he noticed a very significant rise up from maybe 2015 and 2016 of the PC gamer or the Steam users in China. So like when you were like just doing FTL, did you notice any like significant player base from like Chinese-speaking area, or was there any even like a simplified Chinese version of FTL, like maybe fan-translated version or something?
There is indeed a fan-translated version. When we first started selling the game, we didn't focus too much on China, and frankly, we didn't focus on a lot of countries because we just didn't want to spend a lot of time translating because we're only 2 people at the company.
Oh, okay.
So I think, now things are very different. Now everyone in the West is paying attention to Chinese and East Asian market, at least a little bit. I only found out from Coconut Island's Esther. I was talking to her at Steam Dev Days, and she was telling me how people in China actually did play FTL. And I had no idea. It was all pirates. There's no sales, but back then it was only pirated, and that's fine. There wasn't the culture of supporting indie games too much, so I'm not bothered by it. But I was definitely surprised to hear that we had a lot of fans in China.
So there was like when was the Steam Dev that you talking about? Like last year's or?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea, and then she was telling me these stories about in all the chat rooms and people talking about FTL being one of the more popular first indie games, and I had no idea.
Okay, cool. So now you are like seriously considering this as well, like maybe tapping into.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't want to promise anything, but we're definitely going to try, and for this next game to translate it into many different languages before we launch. Same thing with Russia. We have like a huge following in Russia and Poland, but at the same time, like similar to China, there was a huge pirate population there. They didn't have access to buy games as much. But now they can buy games through Steam pretty easily, so we're definitely going to try and translate as much as possible. Japan as well, because, giant mechs makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So since we are talking about FTL right now, I would follow up that question with how do you deal with the fact that FTL is like so successful as an indie game, like. Probably there are not that many games which outsells FTL in terms of like premium PC indie games, and coming up with a new game concept or any kind of product after that would be very difficult. I think. So how do you settle down on your new game Into the Breach, and how long did it take for this new game idea or this new game mechanic to like become like stable or something?
I think to answer the first part, I think the way that we deal with the popularity of FTL is to not think about it.
Okay.
We are, you know, we work from our houses. This is in my house. Matt works from his place too. We have, you know, we just work from a little bubble, so it's easy to have two separate ideas. I made FTL, and FTL is popular, and the two ideas don't connect very often. It's easier to not get a big ego or think too highly of myself, just to not think much about the popularity and just focus on the game development. With Into the Breach, we took a break after FTL, and we both didn't know if we wanted to like go make another big, kind of sick of it. There was just so much work involved in a lot of not fun things. You know, running a business and running, you know, social stuff and press, all of that is not fun for us. But after a short time, we got bored, and so we started making little games. One of those little games that we made, I was making games on Game Maker. Matt was doing his own stuff. Matt made a prototype of this sort of very basic strategy grid. And it took maybe a year before we decided that it was good enough to actually try and make a full game. We were working on it for a long time. It was a lot harder than FTL to find the fun with Into the Breach. It took a lot more trying something, throwing it out, trying something else, throwing it out. It was like 6 to 8 months of work that just was thrown out.
So, like, when was the, like you said you took a break, and like there was maybe a time for like just trying out different random things. So like, when did the work for Into the Breach actually start? Like, if even counting the prototype phase.
About 2 years ago.
Okay, so it's like early 2015 or like late 2014.
I should find out. I don't know.
You forgot. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
I don't remember. Yeah. But it's been about 2 years of just slowly building up more efforts. Because at first we were just working a little bit on it, and then we started working harder and more time per week, and then we started bringing on other people to help.
Oh, okay. So how many people do you have on the game right now? Like, how many team members?
There's me and Matt, who are both full-time. We have someone helping us out with emails and web stuff, who's mostly full-time, part-time. And then we have a couple other people doing sound, audio, music. Ben Prunty, same music guy.
Oh, okay.
Chris Avalon is doing some of the writing. In total, there is 7 people who've worked on it.
Okay.
Most of that part-time.
And like the full production work only started maybe like around 2 years ago.
Well, the full production work started maybe a year ago when we had other people. But Matt and I, you know, it's just the game, like the core game is primarily just Matt and me going back and forth and back and forth. Mm-hmm. I did all of the art, and Matt does basically all of the programming. He pushed a lot of things into Lua scripting, mm-hmm. so that I can do some scripting.
Oh, okay.
Like weapons and enemies and that sort of thing. But other than that, we split the design. We work on Slack, the program, mm-hmm. the chat program. So we just are chatting all day.
Oh, okay, got it. So I guess I'll ask Wesley for the next question.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try to talk maybe a little bit more using English right now. I think
I can understand a lot of.
You actually can understand a lot of Chinese, okay?
Yeah, I can understand the topics and the general point, so
Okay.
it's okay.
So 就是给不知道的人介绍一下，因为 Justin 其实之前在上海念过书，对，所以他听得懂中文。OK， 那
大家好。
OK，so Wesley， 那你们之前在做手机游戏的时候，其实有很长一段时间，就是我看到你们现在还有一个旧的 website， 对不对？
对，
就是上面还有一些就是当初的手机游戏。那你现在应该说这1-2年开始新做的一个比较有名的，可能就是那个 Haywire Hospital 超脱力医院。
Yeah.
对，那这个是你们自己开发的嘛？
对，那我们自己研发的。
对，那然后还有到后来跟另外一位开发者合作一起开发的那个戏。
对，戏对。
对，那我们好奇的是说，像你在一路就是从手机开发到现在 PC 端的跟 PS4 这一端的游戏，那你们自己在开发的重心，还有说游戏设计上的想法的一些改变，大概就是几年前跟现在的主要的想法差异大概是哪些？然后有没有遇到什么转折上的困难什么之类的？
OK， 我觉得实际上，其实就是想法的改变还蛮多的，而且是我想说是蛮多方面的，就是一个方面呢，就是在游戏的形式上，我们从14年的那个决战喵星，就是 Naughty Kitties 开始。 是转向 free to play 的游戏，在手机上，在 mobile 上，我们是转向 free to play 的游戏。所以在那之前呢，我们基本上都是一个 premium 的游戏嘛，就是$0.99这样子的，在 Apple 上。然后这个转变其实对我们来说是蛮大的，但是也是当时来说也是一个不得不做的转变，因为当时的iPhone 的 premium 的游戏其实市场是被压缩的。 而我们那时候也没有什么机会去做那个 Steam 和 PS 的游戏嘛，所以只能留在手机平台，然后想活下来的方式就是去转 free to play，对，但其实这是最大的挑战，因为我们整个团队其实对这方面都不是很了解，而且我也看到很多独立开发者在去做 free to play 的游戏的时候，其实会有很大的限制。 就是可能有不敢去做计费点，或者也不会去做计费点，但是可能做出来，那就计费的方式就很弱。所以我们这2年来一直在摸索的就是这一件事情，就是在形式上，在游戏的形式上转变是这个。另外，其实我们在游戏的创作上，实际上我们从14也是差不多14、15年的时候开始。 特别想要去做的一个转变是，我们在之前是更注重机制创新的，我们非常注重机制创新，而且我们是几乎是从机制出发去做游戏的，就先有一个机制，然后我们再想怎么去把它做成一个好玩的游戏，然后怎么去找到适合的题材，然后可能再加故事，然后在那个之后呢，其实也是因为看了很多。 海外的别的游戏，比方像 Journey 啊，像是比方说我自己非常喜欢的一系列的叙事类的游戏 ，Working Simulator 的游戏。所以我们后来觉得其实有一个很大的方向，就是游戏的叙事，就是游戏要去表达一些东西。这个大的方向其实一直没有人做，所以我们做的一个转变，就是我们不要从机制出发去做游戏，我们从想要表达的内容本身出发去做，就是比方说我们想要做什么，想要讲什么东西，想要表达什么东西，从那个点出发，然后去找一个合适的题材不是合适的机制 ，sorry， 从一个想要表达内容出发，去找一个合适的机制去延伸开，然后去做游戏，就跟以前的顺序会有不一样，所以其实。 这个就哪怕是做一些 free to play 的游戏，我们也会从这个也会在这个角度去改变。比方说我们的 那个黑湾 Hospital 超脱离医院，实际上我们最初的我们并不是要做一个医院经营的游戏，我们最初的想法是要做一款游戏是讽刺当前中国社会的很多社会病，对，就比方说什么，对 WiFi 成瘾啊，什么游戏成瘾这种各种社会里很多奇葩现象，就比方对什么，大家坐在一起会拿微信互相聊天，所以这种现象。这种现象，我们想要讽刺这些现象，就是我们想表达说，当前中国社会是一个有点病态的社会，然后我们想把这些病态的状况，就是在游戏中表达出来。OK， 所以这个时候反过来就会觉得，那可能做一个神经病院的相关的东西会比较合适，然后就变成这个样子，就变成超脱离医院，对。所以我觉得可能我也会鼓励更多人从这个角度去尝试。其实，在游戏界这方面的争论是蛮多的，就是有人是从机制出发，有人是从表达内容出发。但实际上，最终这两种方式都是 OK 的，都有很好的游戏出来。对，我不知道Justin是怎么去做的，对。
Yeah, so maybe I can ask Justin about this as well. Like because Wesley just talked about they used to be sort of starting a game project from game design and game mechanics, like focus on the design mechanics first. But now they are sort of shift into another thought process that they started in deciding a narrative first, and then find a design and a mechanic fitting that narrative. Like how do you like do like if you're making a new game or maybe for Into the Breach, did you like what was your approach?
Sure. When I work on small projects, I generally just say what's a fun game mechanic that I want to explore, and I just play with the game mechanic. For both FTL and Into the Breach, it started as an idea of a feeling that we wanted the player to have. And the game didn't matter what the game was, as long as we convinced that feeling. Like FTL, it was the feeling of being a spaceship captain, you know, not a pilot, not a crew member, but like the captain. And so that could be a lot of games. That could be a game that involves crew morale, and you have to manage food, and you have to manage a fleet of ships, but that didn't matter. It was more starting with that feeling, and then we just tried a few things, just immediately make something and see what's fun. And with FTL, the crew management, moving crew around the ship, that was what was fun. So we focused the whole game on that. Into the Breach is kind of similar. We started with a core feeling or idea, and then just tried to find game mechanics that were fun.
So can you talk a little bit about the core feelings you want to convey, or you want to player to focus on Into the Breach, or maybe that's the spoiler?
No, not at all. So you know, in movies like Pacific Rim or Superman or anything, there'll be a big fight and the whole city gets destroyed, and no one cares. No one even mentions it. Like probably millions of people died and no one gives a crap. Just so stupid. This game started as a response to that. We wanted to make something where it felt like an epic, large, battle. Even though it looks like chess pieces, but just like a large-scale city battle. Where protection of the buildings was the absolute most important thing in the game. We wanted you to be able to have a situation where you throw your mech in front of a building to save it and let your guy die in that process. And so trying to find game mechanics that let that happen in the game, that just encourage the player to care. That was where we started.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I've each asked you like one or two questions already. I want to ask the audience if they have any questions on their own. 我想问一下，就是现场有没有人有问题想要问 Wesley 或 Justin 的 ？Okay, we have one. Wait, I'll pass the mic.
As we're Hello. As for Justin, question. So you said it took 6 to 8 months to find the fund on Into the Breach. How long did it take to find the fund on FTL?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I wouldn't say it was fun, but we found the first game mechanics pretty quickly with FTL. Maybe like 6 weeks or something. It was a very simplistic, like you see a bunch of grids moving with lines going by, stars, and there was asteroids that hit the ship, and you move the crew members, and fire can spread, and there was oxygen, and you can open doors. People could get sucked out into space, which was funny. But that core system was found really early. And then from there, it was just trying to find ways to make the actual game fun. You know, you can have great mechanics, but if the game isn't fun, it's pointless.
Okay. So, 如果现在还没有人想到问题的话呢，就是请大家仔细想一想，因为等一下我会保留一点时间给大家提问。对，就是。Okay. So I guess I'll take back the question asking process for now. So, 我想再问一下 Wesley， 就是既然你们现在有这样子，就是未来，应该说就是你制作游戏的做法跟想法，现在从过去到现在有这样的改变，那你们接下来如果是自己继续在开发游戏的话，大概会想要往哪些方向去尝试？就是可能一些以前在中国或亚洲地区没有看过的玩法，或者是一些想法。
对，所以我们目前的规划呢是，基本上是分两个部分，一个是手机的部分 ，mobile 的部分 ，mobile 的部分基本上就是黑瓦尔系列，就超脱力系列。那超脱力系列的重点实际上就是把现实生活中看起来平常的东西，我们夸张的呈现在游戏里，然后基本的机制可能是比较轻度的模拟经营，所以这条线是基本上是会继续延续下去，然后我们也会更多的去看怎么把这样的类型做得好玩有趣，然后让玩家有代入感这样子。
Okay.
然后另外一条线应该就是在 PC 上的。那 PC 上的话，我们后面可能会去做一些可能更注重叙事的东西，对，可能是对，可能是讲一些可能跟我们说比方讲一些中国的一些就社会上的一些事情这样子，就这样的游戏其实在中国很少。
OK，
对，就可能类似于这样反向，可能是讲台湾的某一个时段的故事，那可能我们就是之前有这样的规划，就是可能对会讲一些东西，对叙事方面的，我们对叙事方面的尝试会非常在意，对。
你们这样会不会有时候会跟那个广电？
会尽量选稍微那个就是可以讲的部分。
OK。好，那我想再接着跟你们问，因为其实刚刚大家提到是Coconut Island 这边对于自己游戏设计跟制作的一些想法。那刚好你们在这2年开始做发行商的角色。那目前就你自己的了解，这样子就是在做独立游戏的发行工作，中国跟世界上其他不同的地区，你自己的观察差异点有没有？当然就是像政府可能会有一些管制，这是基本的。那除此之外，你看到的一些差异有哪些？
其实对啊，在大的方法论上，其实跟海外是差不太多的。因为其实虽然中国的互联网的生态是一套独立的系统，但实际上大部分还是就是照着海外来照搬去做一套的，所以大部分都差不多，就可能要去 cover 到媒体啊，也会 cover 到那个就是主播啊，就 streamer 啊这些部分，那可能会有不同的点，可能主要是在市场上，一个是 会有盗版嘛，就是刚刚Justin也提到 pirate， 所以我们会想办法肯定会去把盗版的影响降到最低，就是想办法去跟一些有盗版资源的网站去沟通，让他们去下盗版，这是一件事。然后另外一件事可能在中国来说，可能所谓独立游戏的这个概念，其实对于玩家来说还是比较新的，所以可能还是要去做很多的引导，就是告诉他们原来游戏可以是这个样子的，所以这个部分会花一些工作。对，
大概
基本上那个部分基本上也是在社区啊，就是可能就是那个论坛啊，或者微博啊，或者微信上去逐渐的去灌输一些可能比较有趣的游戏会是什么样子这样。
所以你们实际上会花很多的精力在营运，就是微博、微信或者是像百度论坛上面的这些，就你们会实际派人去做这件事。
对，一定的。
OK。那你们现在整个公司有多少人？就是
整个公司是28，其实但做发行这边其实也就4个人，对。现在5个人，对，现在5个人。
OK。那就目前就是您发行的部分会完全 focus 在就是中国内部。那未来如果会有一些想法说，比如说把中国的独立开发者的作品带到海外去。
其实我们现在两边的事情都在做，就是把中国的游戏往海外去推，就包括中国的独立游戏我们会推全球，就中国大陆加海外。然后海外的游戏呢，我们会帮着在中国大陆去做推广，这样子。
OK。
现在都已经在做，对。
那不过你们这样就就是发行的部分只有4个人做，这样听起来很吃力。
其实还好像因为其实像 developer 好像也就只有6、7个人这样。
对 ，developer 人也很少，没有错。
对，所以我们对啊，因为对啊，椰岛也一直都是比较精简的，就希望说，因为其实就希望说大家就是专人做专事嘛，就是会比较效率高一点这样。
那剩下你们的10几个人都是在做，就是
做研发，
都是开发，那就是 PC 跟手机现在都还在做这样。
对。
但我听到说你的黑 Wire 系列会一直做，就是一个 series 这样子。
对。
OK。那目前是有，就是手机开发的人力跟就是 PC 或是 PS4 开发的这个比例上大概会。就是你们是
手机占比较多啦，手机应该是差不多
手机还是
12、13个，那个 PC 那边应该也就6个左右，对。
OK。所以反而现在你发现还是手机这边的需要的这个工作动能比较多。
对，因为手机游戏现在其实的规模是就是游戏本身的规模是不小的。因为我们可能做一个。而且有点像网游了，可能会像那种像黑 day 那样的网游，对，所以就是一个不小的游戏。
所以基本上
玩家上手要玩个就是60天或者90天这样子。
OK。所以就变成你还是会需要有人就是去设计，比如说怎么做营运、做 operation 这些东西。
是的。
OK。好。So. I guess I'll ask Justin about the similar questions, because I just talked about the working conditions and the team build up with Wesley. So I'm kind of curious that because you and Matt are only the only 2 people, the full-time people in Subset Games. So. What is the working condition, or the way how you work, or the amount of working hours per day,
Sure.
In the past few years?
The big problem is I am in the Western United States and Matt is in England.
Okay.
So I generally try and wake up, but he will only be online until 2 p.m. maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So we generally spend the morning talking online while working. He'll suggest something to try, and I'll make art, and I'll suggest something, and he'll program back and forth, And then we have a large Google document with just like an online, online Word document where we sort of have all of our to-do lists and tasks. And so there's a lot of like playing phone. I'll say something, he'll respond the next day. A lot of, so in general, we work on our own unless there's a big problem where we have to just sit down and talk about it forever. We don't really like to use voice chat. We're basically all text chat. The way I work, I will work, if there's nothing else happening, I will work all day. But me working all day means stopping and playing video games for an hour every 2 hours.
Okay.
So, there's like a plus and minus from working from home. I can take breaks and I can do something with my wife whenever, but the work never stops. I will work on weekends. If I'm home doing something, I feel like I have to work. So it kind of, I've been having trouble sort of separating, this is work time and this is not work time. They just sort of all bleed together. But I'm used to it because I've been doing it for so long.
Okay. So it's pretty hard to count like how many hours actually you actually work for, like per week or per day.
Yeah, let's say I work every day of the week pretty much, maybe like 5 straight hours worth, 5 to 8.
Okay.
Maybe, well, if we're close to some sort of launch or some sort of big event, then I'll work, 16 hours a day. But just a sort of normal, calm day. Yeah, with FTL we worked way too much. So with this game, we could take our time. We're trying to do better work-life stuff, So I try and eat healthy and go to the gym and that stuff.
So I'll ask next question. I'm going to ask both of you. So I'm kind of curious because you definitely have a very different team build up and different working experience before. But I'm wondering, like, how do you decide? Because both of you talk about game mechanics, in the importance of game mechanics in your projects before. So how do you decide on, like, when do you scrap or leave a prototype behind? Like, when do you say, okay, this is probably not going to work, I will put it away maybe for a year and see how it goes? Or like, when do you start working on new things and like ditch the last thing? I guess Justin can answer first.
Sure. We haven't scrapped a whole game idea, generally speaking, but we do scrap a lot of game design ideas.
Okay.
And it's very stressful sometimes because we'll be working on something for months, and then there'll just be one day where you come across a realization, this just doesn't work. It's not fun. I don't like it. And then the good part of being 2 people is you don't have to keep working on it. You don't have 50 people working on art. Like, once we decide we don't like it, we just stop and then talk about what else to do. But it also can be very stressful to keep doing that and to feel at any point all of this is going to be garbage. Just feeling uncertain all the time. But exactly how to decide when, it's really hard to say. Sometimes we'll say this isn't working, and then we try really hard to fix it. And other times, you just have to take a step back and think about the whole picture and cut that design. So we don't have a perfect method.
Okay. But you basically you don't you don't actually like kill the whole game or kill the whole prototype. You seldom do that.
We've never had to kill a whole prototype. No.
Oh, okay.
Usually we've killed 80% of a prototype, and we
Okay.
just keep the 20% that works.
I see.
But we've
Okay.
we've killed tiny game ideas that were for fun. Like Matt was making a game about managing elevators, and
Oh, okay.
after like a few weeks, we're like, this is kind of boring, and we do something else. But once we like work on a project and we get past that first little bit, we haven't really abandoned something like
Okay.
FTL into the
Got it. How about Wesley?
OK，所以你的问题基本上是说，我们大概是怎么立项，就是在之前在原型阶段，
对啊，对啊。
怎么进入 OK，实际上椰岛在中国一直被认为是很慢的一个公司。
OK。
对，我们之前对，因为如果回到说14年14年的时候，当时整个对大多数的中国游戏公司都是所谓流水线式的嘛，然后一周就是他们差不多3个月或者4个月就要出一款游戏的。而且基本上可能会比较快，就换皮啊或者干嘛，就照抄一套那个游戏机制来。但椰岛不太一样，但实际上我们上一款游戏是16年1月 release 的超脱离医院，然后再上一款是14年3月 release 的那个决战喵星，那2年的时间差不多只有2款游戏，实际上。在这2年中，我们其实做了应该是差不多5款游戏，所以有那么2-3款游戏是被 cancel 掉的，而且也有些原型是做的还可以，但并没有拿出来去进入 production 阶段。对，所以我们首先我们觉得 pre-production 阶段是非常非常重要的，就是尤其对于做原创游戏的公司来说。就是在那个阶段少花的时间，你想在那个阶段节省时间，就大多数的就是团队都会资源很匮乏嘛，都想尽快的把游戏做出来。但如果在那个阶段，在 pre-production 阶段，在 prototype 阶段，如果省掉的时间在后面，在 production 阶段会成倍的要补回来。就是如果你还是想要那个游戏好玩的话，所以在原型阶段至少一定要那个原型一定要好玩。那当然就是有很多方式去判断所谓的这个原型是不是好玩，有各种方式，就其中也有是我们会分阶段做测试啊，就是第一个是在公司内部玩，大家自己觉得好玩才能往前走。那接下来可能是找一些朋友，就是公司内部的人的朋友来玩。那在后面，就对手机游戏来说，我们还会做一些 soft launch。就上线，就直接上到某一些地区去做一些小规模的测试，对。所以经过这些测试之后，然后看到的一个大家的表现和反馈，以及数据的一些反馈之后，我们才能确定这个项目是值得做的。对于手机游戏来说，这个立项过程差不多是这样，就会比较长一点，比较复杂一点。在 soft launch 之后也就是还是会去修改，但也有可能觉得修改了2-3个这个循环之后，迭代之后就觉得可能很难改好，就直接就放弃了。之所以会这样呢，是因为mobile game 的这个 marketing 的成本会非常高。如果你做出来游戏不好的话，其实上线之后你可能花钱去做 marketing， 会觉得可能得不偿失，还不如再做一款更好的，然后我们把就是钱花在刀刃上这样子。但实际上对于 PC 的单机游戏来说又不太一样，我觉得。PC 单机游戏其实很少去你所谓上线去测数据，所以这个时候更重要可能是 Early Access 吧，就是 Steam 的那个 Early Access 会比较有帮助。但是问题是 Early Access 实际上基本上是在游戏完成70-80%后才会去上，效果会比较好。所以在那个之前要做更多的玩家测试，所以在中国的话，我们会建那个玩家 Q 群，就类似于就是一个 QQ 的 group chat，然后会把一些那个比较核心的玩家先导进来，然后 大家去玩，然后我们可能版本迭代会做的稍微快一点，可能1个月或者会给一个版本给到这个内测玩家，然后去听多一点反馈这样子。对。
那您在就是像 iOS 或是 Android smartphone game 上面，你的 pre-production 大概要做到多长？
如果我们说按照 soft launch 来算的话，我们差不多整个的从做原型开始到上线，有一半的时间是在做 pre-production， 就 soft launch 就是这个时间点的一半。
OK。
对。
那实际上你刚刚有提到说在 PC 跟你觉得在 console 这端生态就是不太一样嘛？那
对。
你会用，就是譬如说，假设有些情况是你可能还没有办法上 console， 或者还没有办法上 PC， 这个时候你也一样会直接先建立一个，譬如说本来就有在 follow 公司的 fans， 会邀请他们进来，就是你们的 Q 群里面去测你们的游戏吗？还是说都是？
对，会。
OK， 就是可能甚至在比 Steam Early Access 更早之前，你们就会找，就是
要
OK，
对 pre-alpha 版的时候就会测。我们现在是觉得测试这件事其实越早越好。当然，就是每个阶段要找的人是不太一样的，就是你不可能在 pre-alpha 版的时候就找很多外面的玩家来，可能会给你反馈会很多不好的，所以要想清楚说哪个阶段去找哪些人来测，这样就是测试的目的要想清楚，这样。
那因为刚刚也提到你们之前在 smartphone 上的游戏，其实整个到 release 的时程也都很久。那实际上听起来这个 pre-production 的时间可能也好几个月。
对。
那个就是会超过3个月或6个月之类的嘛，就是。
我们以超多利医院来举例的话，它整个的开发到上线是12个月，差不多是12个月。那我们的第一个 soft launch 版实际上是6个月的时候出的，差不多6个多月的时候出。对。
OK。那在因为我之前听过的一些 soft launch 的模式，可能是说你会挑一些特定的。可能比较小的国家去发，
对。
那我有点好奇是，假设你今天只考虑中国市场的话，要怎么发 soft launch， 或者是
发台湾了，
就发台湾。OK，
会比较说实在会有点接近啊，是真的。对
OK。
台湾、香港啊，对。
OK， 了解。好，那I'll try to ask the audience again, like if they have any questions. 有人想到任何问题了吗？就是好 ，We have 2 questions from our audience.
有，我想问一下 Wesley， 就椰岛现在有在做，就是把海外游戏带进中国这边发行。那我想问一下，就是海外游戏到中国发行，对你们通常有没有什么就是需要特别处理的地方，或是比较困难的地方？对，就是可能还需要跟开发者协调，要修改啊，或是有什么比较复杂的地方要处理的。
Wesley有听得见吗？
听见。所以这样，就如果以 PC 的单机游戏来讲，其实要改的部分会比较少。对，除非有一些所谓比较可能政治敏感，会引起这个版主关注的东西。对，然后 PC 单机的话，可能另外就是价格上会跟国外会不太一样嘛，价格我们会给一个建议的价格，会偏低一点的。对，比方国外海外美国卖$10的游戏，可能在中国的建议零售价是36块，但有时候会做一些浮动这样子。对，然后手机的，尤其是手机的网游的话，会稍微复杂一点。当然 PC 上也有网游嘛，就是可能 PC 的网游也同样的，就网游的部分会稍微复杂一点，可能 会针对中国的用户的这个特点会做一点修改。当然中国用户最大的一个特点就是在 free to play 游戏里，他们可能消耗内容的节奏会特别快，可能会比海外的玩家会快。所以这个时候可能就会看我们的这个内容消耗的节奏是不是适合。对，另外可能就可能还是会给出一些在计费方式上的一些建议这样子。对，但我们其实现在会尽量少去修改游戏，或者说我们还是去挑一些尽量适合的游戏来，要不然的话，其实那个成本是不低的。就网游如果要去修改的话，其实成本是不低的。对，所以其实而且还要看那个开发团队的配合。就这样子的话，其实这个整个的沟通成本也好，修改成本也好，都会很高。所以还不如就是说，还是找最适合的游戏来这样子。
Okay, we have another question from audience.
我是想问Wesley是说，就是上礼拜有看到新闻说，就是腾讯跟 Paradox 签约，然后就是他可能也要走类似 Steam 这样 PC 游戏的平台，那就是对这件事情，就是觉得可能会对以后的发行工作有什么影响？这样子。
Wesley 听得见吗？
Okay. Well, I guess Justin maybe curious about that part. The question is about Tencent. Tencent is building a new platform. It's called TGP now. It's called Tencent Game Platform. It's it's something like very similar like Steam. Yeah, they want to build a Chinese version of Steam. So yeah, the question is about so Tencent is build that. So what's our strategy to Tencent? So yeah, just last month, just 2 weeks ago, I actually talked to somebody in Tencent. I think they are just the beginning. They have very huge active users in their platform, but all the users, most of the users are the players of League of Legends. They are used to play free-to-play game. So premium game for them is a new thing. So the conversion rate from the huge DAU to premium buyers is very lower, you know. So 对我的意思就是说，实际上他们的整个的 DAU 虽然很高，但其实他们会碰到一个问题，就是大多数他们的玩家实际上跟去愿意付费购买游戏的玩家是重合度是偏低的，所以对之前因为 Paradox 是他们等于是腾讯投资的嘛，所以他们谈起来会比较快。但 Paradox 的游戏进来之后，实际上包括他们的定价也是偏高的，所以实际上他们的游戏在 TGP 上的销量不是那么的好，或者说不是他们期待中那么高，所以这里会有很多问题。所以今年对腾讯来说，他们会是去做很多的会做很多平台构建的事情，就是教育可能更多的是教育用户说怎么样去把这些好的付费游戏推广给他们现有的用户。那即使是这样的话，他们的量级还是不低的，所以可能一款独立游戏，如果他们给的资源是 OK 的话，那差不多相当于就是在 Steam 上，如果在中国卖到10万份的游戏，独立游戏的话，那在腾讯那边，在今年的下半年，说不定也是可以卖到10万份，差不多的量级。也就是说，对于我们来说，其实是件好事，对发行和开发来说是件好事。因为你的销量其实几乎就可以 double 了，因为 Steam cover 到了一部分所谓的高端的中国玩家，那腾讯那边有一部分固有的一些玩家，那他们两边 cover 到的玩家是不同的，我觉得对我们来说是好事。那实际上所以我们也一定会去上那个腾讯的这个平台，对。
So are they connecting Is Tencent connecting their game platform to like WeChat and everything?
No, they are still developing the SDK. They have a plan to connect. They have the plan.
Okay.
Is it like a shell, meaning like you load up a game into it, like League of Legends, and then you hit Shift Tab and you can talk to your friends, or is it specifically only to sell the games and the games need to work with their API? And do you have any idea?
I mean, the platform is now it's like a launcher of League of Legends. Okay, it's a launcher, but in the launcher they add a new tab, so it's called like a indie game or premium games. So.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I forgot Tencent bought Riot. I totally forgot. That makes sense.
Yeah. And Tencent also the investor of Paradox.
Yeah.
So City Skyline and Stellar is on Tencent, the platform. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was talking about if Tencent goes into this, that's game over.
No. It's no. Steam is what I think Steam still will exist for a long time.
Well, it's because
that.
I agree. Yeah. They were too slow. If they did this before Steam got into China, it would have been game over. But they took too long, and it doesn't look like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I think Tencent is a good thing for us. They make the market bigger. They double the sales. We can sell like some on Steam and some on Tencent. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, basically they are covering totally different demographic of players. But so like, what they're trying to do maybe is like, they'll focusing on, using the products and the contents from the companies the Tencent invest, or maybe they already bought the like Riot, so they can use those as their first line, first wave of products on their platform.
Yeah.
So Steam operating in China, Steam is basically saying, if they download it, they download it. But China is really pissed at Valve because they're not following any of the regulations. They're not doing any of the restrictions. So I just wonder if Tencent's trying to be copying Steam and bringing in, these big name games that have like prostitution in it, or like blood and like gore, or like gambling or something like that. Like, I just wonder, is Tencent going to just only bring half of the games, or are they going to try and convince the government to let them do whatever they want? Or are they not even selling other people's games?
I think they won't selling any games have like a gambling or sex things. Say all the games on Tencent platform need the government's approval.
Yeah, so Steam's going nowhere. Yeah.
So what I've heard about Steam in China is that basically they are still trying to legalize in a way, but basically that term is a little bit doesn't really apply to Steam right now, because they don't actually have a company in China. They don't have a branch in China.
That's the reason why they could do this. If they set up a company in China, then they'd have to play by different rules. But if you don't, and Chinese people can just get a VPN and download whatever they want, then Steam is free to do what it wants.
Yeah. But basically they are still, I've heard from Steam people saying that they are trying to they're open to the idea that maybe they have to legalize in China. So maybe they'll do that in a way.
They're open to all ideas. I was talking with some people who are dealing with the Asia side, and I don't think I could go into details, but I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if they did try and go full legal. It would be, it's just not something Steam and Valve would be willing to do, I think. Everything they want to do is to have no work. They want to have to do nothing. And so So if they have to go and approve every game, they wouldn't do it. They would just choose not to do it. They don't have that many people.
Yeah, that's very reasonable, I think. But I mean, it's still good in a way, like, because even if Tencent say they started to dominate the China market using their new PC platform, there's still going to be very sizable people who will just be waiting to use VPN and still access to Steam. And basically that means if you have a PC game in China now, just as Wesley says, actually you can just double or maybe triple your user base there, because they have two very different demographic, and if your game can get onto both platforms, then it's very good for you.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but one thing you didn't mention is, let's say some games get on Tencent's platform. All it's going to do is expose Chinese gamers to more games, and they'll be like, there's more games to find, and they'll be more interested to find games, and there will be more people who buy through Steam and who buy through other things. It's just, if you convince the Chinese gamer population that it's okay to pay for games, that it's okay to buy premium games, that's good for everybody. It doesn't matter what platform.
Yes, very good point.
Yeah.
Very good
point.
Okay, 所以还有其他问题吗？ Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I don't speak English, but I don't know if you heard about the Steam Direct, that's going to come in lieu of Steam Greenlight. How do you think that affects small indie game developers? Or when what's going to
Steam Direct.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've been so a lot of indie game developers, we sort of like just chat with each other whenever something big happens, and there is a lot of disagreement about this. So I won't speak for everyone else. Some people say you need a curator. Most people say we need a curator, meaning you can't just have the App Store on PC. It'll just become garbage. And some people say the only way for some people to make games is to have it be easily accessible. So to have no fee or very minimal fee, and just let people get on so that they can have their little art game that sells 100 copies, and that's fine. And so if you have a fee like this, it prevents them from getting any sales. Personally, I think that I think we need some sort of system to filter through the garbage of just people's like, this is my first Unity project, it's on Steam. I don't think that's good for anyone to have people filter through it. And Steam's approach is to create better filters, meaning the search program and the suggested for you, and this is what your friends are playing. All this stuff is their solution, and I don't think it works. Some people, it will make some games sell great, and it will make some games just never be noticed. And I don't think it's a good solution. I don't have any better ideas. I have no clue. It's the current situation, I think, is just a shit show. But maybe having a fee that's like $1,000 that you then make back while you're selling the game, maybe that will help reduce some of the bad stuff. But I don't know. I'm not very hopeful.
But do you think would it be at least better than Greenlight, or it will be worse than Greenlight in your opinion?
I think it'll be different. I think the problem will be different. It will make one problem go away, but it will make a new problem.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it will be better.
Mm-hmm. So
Granted, I think Greenlight was terrible. it was a good idea that didn't work.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
And there's a lot of good ideas that don't work.
But what my takeaway from Steam Direct or their direction is that maybe they're just trying to create a. Basically, Steam is saying that they don't want to be a free-for-all platform, or like they don't want to be, you know, it's like the games you were saying, like the art game, the small art games, or like small student projects. Those kind of games, there are actually more suitable more suitable places to launch that. Actually, like maybe on itch.io, right?
Yeah.
And itch.io is getting pretty big, and they're getting a pretty big traction these days. Maybe not enough to compete with Steam or GOG, but if you know art games or if you know indie games in the Western, you probably know itch.io.
Sure.
Yeah, so I guess they'll just create a different. I mean, like different.
I can
Yeah.
from talking with them a bunch, what they want to do, they just want to connect developers to people who buy games. That's it. They just want to say, here's a developer, here's someone who wants to buy games, just connect them. They want to do nothing. They want to step back and not care. They themselves say they realize that they're a monopoly. You know, they are the place in the West and most of the world. So they are trying to do what they think is moral. They're trying to do what they think is right, which is to not curate, meaning they don't want to be a gatekeeper. They don't want to be like the Chinese government saying, you guys can and you guys can't. They want to just to have no role. I think that's a good idea, but I also think it's weird if you're going to be no role to take 30% of every sale. I find that
Yeah, good point. Very, very good point. Very
yeah,
good
it's
point.
like it's fine if that's your goal, but that's a lot of money. Okay. But so I think that's the big thing with this Steam Direct is they're trying to remove Greenlight. They're trying to remove the gatekeeper, so that because they see games like Stardew Valley, the farming game. They see games like that where it's like nobody knew about it. There was no press. No one really was paying attention, and then everyone found out it's great. And then everyone spends lots of money. So in Valve's eyes and Steam's eyes, that's a success. That's what they want to happen. They want these tiny things that if they were the gatekeeper, if they had to choose which games came on, they maybe would have not chosen that game. They would say, no one wants to play this, and they would be wrong. So that's their reasoning from my understanding.
Okay. Wesley, do you know what percentage will the Tencent platform take? Do you know the information already, or is?
Oh, okay. You mean revenue share?
Yeah.
It's the same, 30%.
Oh, it's also okay. Got it.
Yeah.
But it's like they're doing the real gatekeeper job. But
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Their plan is like, not that much, maybe, 50, over 50 games a year. They're just beginning. Yeah, they're just beginning.
Oh, okay. So I'll try to ask a little bit more about the indie publishing in China. So 我用中文问好了，对，因为刚好我这问题用中文写的，就是因为刚刚在前面的问题有稍微提到说你们要跟譬如说一些也许会上盗版的网站，或者是你们要真的派人去，就是百度的，或者是说像微信的讨论区去真的去运作。那我有点好奇是说，你这个实际运作的交涉的经验，你可以稍微分享一下吗？因为其实我们可能会有点难想象说，有一个盗版网站，我已经做了一个，反正可能也许现在刚好今年很红的游戏的页面，然后我放它的 盗版的连结，然后要说服我说我愿意把这个连结换掉，换成正版的连结，或者我要把这个整个盗版的页面都 close 掉。我觉得这个好像需要很大的动机，才能说服他们做这件事情。我不知道你们的想法是，或者实际上怎么操作这个事情。
其实我们碰到的大多数情况都是比较容易操作的。其实就是，首先就是其实大家都是还是有一个默认，就对于盗版网站的运营方以及盗版网站的用户来说，那实际上所谓的盗版网最大的就是 3DM， 然后游侠和游民啊，其实就最大的就是3家，因为主要的来源就是他们。然后别的网站就是只是从他们上面去扒下来而已。那其实他们呢，包括他们的用户，实际上都有一个默认的一个类似于一个默契，就是说，首先是国产游戏啊，就所谓国产游戏可能会要做一些保护，因为其实本身的国产 PC 游戏就已经很少，你再去上盗版，可能这些人的生存状况就会更差。所以第一个是国产游戏，其实大家会有默认。那第二个呢，实际上，以返校的例子来讲，实际上因为我们看到的情况是，返校在 3DM 上了盗版之后，底下会有很多玩家评论，会说其实这个游戏，就是这个游戏很不错的，然后价格也不贵，就30几块钱，就还是为什么要上盗版，还是不要上，所以他们自己的用户实际上现在所以说为什么这个市场在增长，是因为用户其实在改变嘛，用户其实觉得其实花了30几块钱去支持一款好游戏是一个有价值的事情嘛，所以其实既然那对于网站经营者来说，既然那底下的玩家已经这样讲了，那我们也不用特别去做这件事情，实际上他们只是为了吸引更多人来关注他们的网站而已。那在没有盗版的情况下，既然大家已经都来了，那其实盗不盗版也就无所谓。对，然后第三点，实际上对于这些盗版网站来说，我们这些游戏，我们的 indie 游戏其实是很小的，对他们来说帮助是比较小的。他们真正要 care 的其实就是什么刺客信条啊。什么 Final Fantasy 啊，就是如果他们能第一时间出一个什么 Final Fantasy 的盗版，那就是这个流量来的会很多，所以对他们来说比较 care 的还是那个大的部分，对，所以就是还是有办法去跟他们沟通，就是说反正就是跟他们讲清楚，那而且会跟他们说，可能游戏的页面可以保留，也可以让玩家来讨论，因为实际上那个上面的玩家也的确是很多是去玩 Steam 的。很多所谓的中间派，就是可能他会先下个盗版玩一下，然后觉得好玩，又去 Steam 上支持一下，的确是有这样的情况。那盗版网站也有很多有效用户，所以游戏可以保留，然后你只要把盗版链接去掉就行了。如果你不方便上正版链接也没关系，你就把盗版链接去掉。其实这个沟通是比较顺畅的。另外一点就是在像百度贴吧或者在某些社区里会有用户自己去 PO 上来，自己去 PO 的一些东西，那这个部分就比较难以控制，但是我们也只能去扫啊，就是定期的去看一下会不会有人 PO， 如果有人 PO 的话，我们就举报。那其实现在目前来说，平台方还是会去管，百度那边还是会去做处理的。如果是确认是盗版的话。
OK， 那I think some of the suggestions may be useful to Justin in the future, like how do you minimize the piracy in China?
Yeah, I didn't understand a lot of that. That was a little too complicated.
Okay, so basically, what Wesley said is that so most of the big piracy sites in China, the first priority for them is like to get more users and more page views, and basically some of the indie games, you know, it's not their biggest page view income. And in that case, it may be easier to convince them, saying that okay, this game is actually pretty good, and also maybe there are native players saying that like leaving comments saying maybe this website should not do the pirate version on their website because they think it's a cheap game and it's still it's very good and they
So pirated websites are more curated than Steam?
It's not. It's like they have a more indie-friendly community growing in China already right now. So some players will go to Steam and go to like pirate website all the same. But some of them will say, okay, actually I think this game on Steam is pretty good and it's not expensive. Maybe they will leave comments like, okay, maybe this piracy website should not pirate this thing. They'll try to advocate for the developer if they really like the game. And
That's really good that there's that opinion forward, because when I was living in China, there was no concept of this money goes to the people who made it. So there was no thing of like, I want to help the people who made it. All it is I'm giving the money to some company or to this guy, so get the cheapest thing or the most free thing. So if starting to get the feeling of, let's help the people who make this because it's, that's what we want to be made, then that's really positive to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the times changed.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, the new players, they are easy to convince to spend money on premium games. The young players now in China. Yeah, it's a good thing for us.
In my opinion, pirating, it's fine. It's just always going to happen. And from my point of view, for most people, pirating is just ease and cost. Which one? If it's a little bit too hard to get your game or movie, like if I have to sign up with a website and do some sort of new account to watch a movie, I will pirate it. It's just like everybody has a certain barrier. If it's too hard to do, they won't do it. So you at first give everybody an opportunity to buy the game. That's easy.
Yeah.
And then if you do that, then that's all you can do. If someone else wants to pirate it, that's fine. But as long as you make it as easy as possible, then you're doing your best.
Yes.
Some people will be like, I would pay $100 for your game if it was really easy to buy. And other people would be like, I would pay $1 for your game, even if it's hard to buy. So it's like, there will always be a group who's not willing to pay for it. And of course, then there's also the people who refuse to pay for anything ever, and that you'll never get sale from them. So. And
I think it's just also the generation difference. It's like if people are growing up and used to not paying, then probably that behavior won't change ever after they've grown. Like I mean, because it's a habit and their concept of like digital product or something. But if you grow up maybe during your education or maybe when you were still studying in school and you already realize it's okay to pay, then after you grow up you have more you have more potential and you have more ability to pay, then you will pay. So
maybe you'll disagree with me, but from my experience in China. This was, I left China 5 years ago. But when we were in Shanghai, which is a more materialistic, consumer-focused city in China, there was already that shift towards buying real things, or like actual paying for legitimate copies. But it was very odd to me because it seemed very often to be status-related. So you have your 100. A family will have like hundreds of, pirate gray market movies, and then they have the 3 real DVDs of the movies they love, and it's like a symbol, it's like a trophy of being like, this is showing what I really like. And so for a lot of people that I interacted with in China, if they bought real stuff, half of the time it would just be to be able to say, yeah, this is real, like it's like a status symbol, it's like a sign of
I'm rich.
money. Yeah. So it's like showing off that I don't have to pirate. Look at this. These are real. So I mean that's a weird way to me. It's a little awkward, but I guess that convinced people, if that's true, that slowly teaches people that paying for is better, but even if it is just to show you're rich, I guess.
I mean, like 15 or 20 years ago in Taiwan, it's the same thing. And I mean, when we grew up, people who buy the the legitimate copies, they always get laughed at. Like, okay, you're really stupid, so you pay for the thing. It's like if you are smart, you'll know how to pirate it. It's something like that.
Yeah, now it's the opposite. Now pirating is the easy thing to do. So,
Yeah, it's like, and even people will consider pirate is an evil thing to do. So maybe you should try to actually help. Yeah.
I mean, I have enough money to buy games, and I buy a lot of games, but still, like, I wanted to play DS games, Nintendo DS games, and I was trying to find legitimate copies, but so I still end up pirating the R4 card or whatever. So everybody has their limit of like what is effort versus money.
Yeah. It's very reasonable.
Okay, cool. Hi,
So-
one more suggestion.
Yeah.
One more. Don't send your DRM free version to any platform in China. It's very dangerous. It's too dangerous.
But
Yeah.
if you have, if you want, if you
Yeah,
just go
you can.
to Steam, there's like a button that people do that just makes a DRM-free version and removes the DRM from Steam. It is like,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, it's
too
just
easy.
a script. So they have like a bot that just buys every single game, downloads it, runs a script, uploads it, and so like and copy the text from the Steam page. So there's nothing you can do.
Okay.
Unless you go crazy and do all your own DRM and your own like online verification bullshit. But from my point of view, it's like, man, they'll get it one way or another.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's probably good advice not to give it there first.
Yeah, at least make it not so easy.
Yeah.
那个，我想问一下，摄阳那边你有看到没有啊？确录上面有没有？
他做一个说，I just want to say I love FTL。
Oh, yeah. Some people on the chat room saying they love FTL very much. Okay, so so since we talked about the generation gap, or maybe the people changing, or the demographic changing from maybe 5 or 7 years ago. So I mean, since you guys both started in the indie scene pretty early on, and now still going strong. So what's the biggest thing you see nowadays, and like what's the biggest difference you see between maybe 2010 and now 2017? What's the biggest difference for you, and how would you do about it? I mean, going forward.
I think the biggest difference I've seen is the change in the perception of how easy it is to be an indie developer. Early on, when we started, it was something that basically no one did. It was just very few people who would try. And then it became clear that, oh, it's easy to make a lot of money making indie games. And then that just made more and more people go push to become indie developers. Now what I see is there's this really big pushback of people who failed, who try hard and quit their job and made a game and the game doesn't sell, or made 2 games and the games don't sell, and all these people who kind of feel like they were lied to, who are bitter. I think I honestly don't know how to approach this current situation, because it's a very it's like a new territory, new land. There are so many people and so many games that are come out and so many games that look decent and seem pretty good. I honestly, with our game, so we announced it recently, and I think it got a large amount of press, and obviously the only reason why it got press was because of FTL. That's like, and so we're trying to use that as much as we can. Because if we don't, I would, if, for example, we were starting to make a game now, I would not quit my job. I would not try and become an indie developer. It just looks, it's so impossible right now. So I think maybe what people need to do more is the old mindset, at least the old idea in the West, of just, do it with backup plans. Only do it if you know that you can continue if this game fails. So if that means working for 5 years to save up money, if that means getting investment from a company or family, or if it means going crowdsourcing or early access, just to early on so you don't risk. I think that's going to be the biggest thing right now is people, because there's going to be a lot of people who quit, and I think there's going to be a lot of indie developers just the percentage going down. So what happens there? I think it's only the people who sort of don't play too risky that will be able to keep making games and stay in the space. I bet, although it's also interesting how many students and people who are like graduating soon, who are like all game development degrees, and then you see these big companies like Squaresoft and Nintendo, and they're all going the sort of free-to-play, like phone. In my opinion, gambling. It's not good. Just gambling.
Yeah, it's gambling.
Need to save time or whatever. So many, Konami, they dipped out. So there's less and less big companies to go to, and more students who are graduating with game design degrees and 3D modeling degrees. And so I really don't know what will happen. Maybe there'll be a lot more middle-sized companies with like publishers again. I don't know.
What's Wesley's opinion on this?
OK， 所以对啊，就是5-6年前到现在，其实整个在中国来说，独立是改变蛮多的。那5-6年前其实就是 Justin 刚刚说他刚开始那段时间，其实当时说就是可能比较少，但是在中国是真的是没有，就海外来说其实还是有啦。Yeah. So for China 5 years ago, there's really no indie teams, really no. So, but now.
It was you guys. It was just you.
Yeah. Maybe just 2 or 3 studios. Yeah. Yeah. So now more and more people is doing indies in China. It's a good thing, but we still need more good games. In China, I think the first wave of indies in Western is like World of Goo, Braid, such good games. But in China, I think 就在中国其实就那个级别的游戏始终还是非常的缺，还是没有出来。虽然我们现在比之前更多的人在做这件事情。So I think now the Chinese indie game market is like maybe 10 years ago of the United States. So 所以还是有一个差距的。然后，但是整个市场实际上就差不多就像10年前的美国吧，我觉得就是刚开始。我觉得在中国 ，so everything about indie in China is just a beginning, I think. So I think I believe it will grow. Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunity in China, I think, for indie games. Yeah.
Especially once you get a big, your market for the indie games, the people buying is just growing and growing, and so that's going to. I think it's going to be different from the United States because the indie games, there wasn't much of a market for it. You know, World of Loot was a huge, the best indie game at the time, and it sold what, like 100,000 copies?
Yeah.
Is so, you know, and compared with that farming game, whatever it was, that which sold 1 million in like, you know, a month. So I think you guys are maybe, you know, you're behind, I guess, but it's like a faster pace. It's like you started halfway to finish line.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, the first market is always slower, like at least a bit slower than, you know, the later markets, because people will see the similar trends, and also the development process and the design philosophy will pick up the pace, because they already see like what the first wave of indies have done, and they can try to mimic that. And basically, I think the market is also mimicking that as well. So I'm going to turn to the audience again. 有没有其他问题？
我有个问题想要问 Wesley， 就是刚才说，其实中国现在目前的独立市场跟美国以前的发展刚刚有个 lag 嘛，就是西方已经过饱和，再开始重整，那中国是开始起来。那以你做独立开发跟发行的部分的话，那你怎么看待台湾的独立的产品在这样子的快速增长的市场里面的机会？因为其实相对来讲，包含西方的开发者目前也会很想要进入到一个新的在增长的市场里面。那以你的过去的这样发行接触的经验上，你怎么看待这件事情？谢谢。
OK。我就直接讲是吧 ？OK。
对。
好，对对我个人觉得，其实我去年其实跟赤足他们跟杨伟他们也讲过，我个人觉得台湾的开发者其实是有一个很大的机会在里面。就我们抛去所有的就政治的成分不谈，这两岸的这些东西不要谈，就是只是讲文化的部分。我觉得台湾的开发者会有很大的机会，为什么？因为整个中国市场的增长，那全世界的开发者都想进来，包括发行公司都想进来。可是如果讲独立游戏这个部分的话，实际上独立游戏实际上是跟文化很相关的。那就是但是西方的开发者只是做他们认为好的游戏。那在文化的层面来说，跟中国的文化是有一些隔阂的，不得不说。那台湾在这方面其实是有优势的，所以我个人认为，如果有台湾的开发者能用好的西方的或者日本的这种开发的方式和流程，包括我知道很多可能台湾开发者是可能海外来的，那就是包括台湾的团队可能他们整个的眼界会比大陆的很多要开阔很多。那利用这些西方的知识，那去可能做一些有中国文化内涵的东西。但我的意思并不是说一定要做中国题材的东西，而是说就是在用户习惯也好，在这个游戏的理念也好，其实会跟中国用户更接近。这个游戏的设计的产品的内涵上会更容易被中国玩家接受，所以用西方的方式，然后做一个很中国内涵的东西在里面，这样的游戏其实我觉得在中国大陆是很有市场的，因为毕竟我觉得台湾的设计也好，艺术也好，其实就整个的文创产业，我觉得实际上是比大陆是领先的，就目前来说，所以这个阶段我觉得还是有很多机会的，对台湾开发者。That's my opinion.
OK， 还有其他的想法吗？其他问题想要提出来？有吗？如果暂时没有的话，我继续问啊。Okay, so I guess I'll ask a question for Justin. because there are not many people who actually have very a very successful indie game launch by themselves, and what is your maybe some of the quality of life issues after you launch FTL until now, and you have to be dealing with them, and like what your pressure on the next project, or maybe very few people, you have to still do all the community management and business management, that kind of thing. Do you have any experience you can share with maybe other aspiring developers here, saying, okay, you should get prepared, even if you get successful, very successful, you are still, you have to be prepared for a lot of things. It's not just, prepare for the worst, you have to prepare for the best as well.
Yeah, I find a lot of people who have some pretty successful games, they fall into a little bit of a trap where they have to feel like they are, they're not slaves, but they are like, they owe something to the fans and the owners of the game, right? So basically, some people, it's like the fans of a game are the ones who own the game, and they own the developer. And so I see a lot of people who just feel like you just have to keep updating, you have to make sure that they're all having fun, and you have to, and honestly, I think that, it's good for some games, like a Minecraft sort of never finished game, but from my perspective, that we were trying really hard to avoid that, because I don't think you can make a good game if you're trying to make something that is for someone else to have fun. I think, I could be wrong, but for me at least, the only way I would ever make something good is if it's something that I want to play. So for example, I worked at 2K Games, and I was making a lot of games that I did not want to play, and I was bad at it. I was not very good. So if you have a lot of people who are, who are looking up to you or wanting, if we did everything the fans would say, we would still be working on FTL, and we would still be doing updates.
FTL 2.
Yeah, we would be doing FTL 2. But we went into this not looking for fans or notoriety or being popular. We went in this trying to make a game. So a lot of what we had to do was try and not forget that. Just remember, okay, we are going to finish something, and then we're going to release it, and we're going to walk away. And that was very hard. And with the next game that we're working on, we do feel a lot of pressure of like, we're going to have a lot of people who loved FTL and are willing to try our next game. And if they don't like it, then, maybe they'll try our next game, right? So the pressure of wanting to make something that they'll like. And I think the majority of the development of this game has been trying to forget that, and try and forget the fans, and just to only make something that we ourselves want to play. And if it goes well, and we'll try and learn from mistakes with FTL by making modding easier, but we're not going to spend months working on modding tools. We're going to wait, because it doesn't matter if people don't like the game. So we'll wait to use the fans based on if they actually like the game, and then we'll spend more time and work with them, polish, and yada yada yada. But for the main game, we're trying to just focus on what we want to make. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, but that sounds a little bit harder to do when you are trying to make a game that is not like a one-off thing. Like, if you're totally focused on the maybe first month after launch, that kind of game, then definitely you should try to I'm trying to reflect on the fact that a lot of indie game developers nowadays, maybe they don't have the luxury to make a like a one-off premium game, and they have to try to start worrying about all the community management, all the business management aspect after launch. It's like a lot of games on mobile these days. The launch date is never the actual launch date. It's like after launch.
Well, it just depends on the type of game that you're making, right?
Yeah.
You know, the type of game that we were making, you could buy it now and it'll be the same as if you buy it 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And, you know, with a lot of these games that rely on, you know, the community interacting with other people for it to be fun, then you have no option but to retire. That's just what you have to do. So I think that just has to be with the type of games that we like to make, which are, you know, old style. You know, like Nintendo, you buy a thing and you play it. You put it in and you play it. You know, so that's the type of stuff that we're more interested in. I don't really like. If I was to make a game that's like games as service, meaning, you know, you're just working on it, I would feel like that was a prison. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, just for other developers to think about that. Maybe this kind of decision is already. You've already made this kind of decision at the instant that you start to make a game as service. Like, do you want to like? I guess the idea I want to say is that really get prepared of what you are getting yourself into. Like, have a very clear picture about that, and
yeah, and also you need to be adaptable. You know, if you're assuming that you'll only become popular by community and you start out and you have no community, like that's a hard thing to handle. And other game developers, like, do you know Rift World, that game? It's kind of like Dwarf Fortress. You know, that's made by one guy, and I was talking to him recently about this sort of idea of you make something and then you want the fans to be happy, because if they're happy, they'll spread the word, but you also want to make what you want to make. And so he's trying to do a more balance between, you know, hey guys, you're not going to like this, but this is the change that's happening. As instead of doing what some games like Ark does, which is just, what do you guys want? We'll work on that. Tell us what to do. He's trying to be more, just trying to have a vision still while still making everybody happy. And that's a balance.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. And I think the biggest and most, from my experience, the most important thing to be sure that community's happy is to be 100% honest all the time. You don't have to tell them everything you're doing, but you do have to tell them reasons for doing it. Like the Darkest Dungeons guys, and I hear so many horror stories of fans turning on the game because of something that's not true, or something that is explained badly. And so, and then I hear the guy who made Monaco, I thought this was brilliant. He has a very small team. He doesn't want to manage a QA team or a beta, right? And so what he did is he found the people who were most excited to play a role. He was streaming on Twitch. And so the people who came, he would know their name. And then he would give them access to basically manage a few people. And then those guys got to pick other people. And so what he did was he built a community that managed everything for himself. He didn't choose who gets to join the beta. All these guys get to choose who joins the beta, and they vote on it. And then they they manage and they kick people out, and they take all the data and they give it back to him. So it's like he made all these people who are doing for free the job of all these different, QA managers. And the reason why it works is because they get to feel control. They get to feel like a part of the team, and they love it. And so everybody's happy. It's just utterly brilliant. But how to go, with us, early on, we would have people who disliked FTL, and we don't have time to sit on forums and explain to everyone, this is why we do this. We had so many people who were defending us for us. So they would go and like say, well, you know, this is the reason why this is good. This is the reason why they did this, or yada yada yada. And so we had like this army of people who were helping us. And I think the only reason why that happened is because I guess we treated them with respect at the very beginning, and we were open. And so I think that, you know, if you can make this sort of environment of positivity, environment of trust, then you'll have people like working for you. Like it's very positive environment, and I think it's only because we're a small team and people know that like, oh, these are people. These aren't some, you know, company with hundreds of people. You know, these are like two guys. They get stressed. So being open and honest, I think, is the most important thing.
I think it also ties into what Wesley talked about a few moments ago about how they, you know, started using maybe chat rooms for their pre-alpha builds to testing, and you know try to do community and testing at the same time before lunch and build into their iterations. So, like, 还有其他人有问题吗？哦，没有。有一个已经开了，已经开。对，喂，等一下，再讲一下。喂，没电了。
我想请问就是有椰岛发行这一块嘛，我想问一下，就是实际上跟独立游戏开发嘛，如果是手机游戏，有关于收费这一块的钱，他们是需要，通常是需要接什么样的东西？因为例如说是有内购好了，然后在安卓平台上，开发商需要做什么样的事情啊？就是如果就是以椰岛发行这一块，然后另外就是分成的部分，你们通常跟独立开发会是怎么样的协调这一块？通常是什么样的形式
？OK， 对。刚才你要说什么？
我想就是Wesley方面回答吗
？OK 啊，就是在 SDK 的部分，其实首先就是我们自己就大家都知道中国的安卓渠道比较复杂嘛。那像我们经过这些年的这个经验来说，其实差不多是那么10几家公司就10几个渠道是比较，可能10个左右吧，10到15个左右的渠道是比较靠谱的。那对于独立游戏会给流量的，那基本上所以就是 cover 到那个最主要的10到15家就可以，其他多余的其实是无所谓。那首先就是我们其实自己内部正在开发一个工具，可以去帮助我们自己的团队去迅速的能接入这10几个渠道。对，然后我们希望就是将来会帮到就是我们发行的游戏，直接把这个工具给到开发者的话，他们会比较方便去做。对，这个肯定要具体再去看了。那其实发行的分成的部分，我们就是基本上，其实当然是总体来说还是 case by case， 但默认的一个 deal 就是55分，然后但是如果是去买用户，就可能会做一些 UA 的用户获取的这个成本是我们来做，但是我们要从整个的流水里面先拿回，先 recoup 这部分的这个 marketing 的成本，然后再去5分这样子，对。但基本上细节还是要 case by case 再谈 ，OK。
这样 OK 吗 ？OK。那还有好，有开吗
？Hello， 这样有吗？
有。
我想请问 Wesley， 对于没有什么经验的新创小团队，在行销跟宣传方面要怎么起步比较好？如果想要自己做的话。
OK。Yeah， 所以小团队 ，So the question is about for a pure new team how to do the marketing things 。Yeah， OK， 所以这个部分其实还是我们的起步的方式，其实就是真的是看别人的经验啦，就是照去看海外的一些开发者的推广经验，一些 dev blog， 然后去跟别人多交流，跟别人学，我觉得这其实最重要的方式。然后我觉得，当然就是对我们自己来说，其实，就是一定要有个基本的概念，然后要分阶段去做，可能什么时候去放一个 trailer 出来，就是要什么时候去放一个这个 pre-alpha 版出来，然后怎么去把这些可能会关注到的用户找到，然后从一点点的开始，从非常小的一些用户开始，就比方说 FTL 它其实是一个 sci-fi 的游戏，那可能会从 sci-fi 的一些论坛或者 sci-fi 的一些这个社群去开始去找一些种子用户，然后去逐渐的去发酵起来。我觉得这是有个过程的，所以我强烈建议所有的开发者要做比较长时间的预热，至少提前半年或者甚至更长的时间去做预热，就从自己在测试的时候就开始去把 marketing 这件事情考虑进去。OK。Any suggestions from Justin?
Getting started, like first, that's extremely hard. A sort of general opinion, I think now traditional media in the West is, maybe it's necessary to feel like you're a real project, like a real game, but I think the most important thing is YouTubers and streamers. That is like 90% of press right now. You can get on 10 websites and 10 write-ups, or you can get one big streamer, like stream for like an hour, and that will give you more press than everything else. So, or even just a tweet from like, somebody. So I don't know how to get people to, I think the first step is to make it feel legitimate. Make feel like if you ask them to try it, that it's just a student game. It's unfinished. I don't really care. So how do you make it first believably legitimate, like competitions, or some sort of like basic reviews or write-ups by people, and then you use that to push your way and get bigger people to try it. But I think oftentimes if you make a good game, the press, they want to talk about good games. So if you want people to talk about it, the first thing that is absolutely necessary is make either something that's just fun and good, or something that's really interesting and totally people haven't seen before. And then press will be a lot easier.
OK。其实因为时间也差不多了，如果还有问题的话，我们可能再开放最后一个。Okay, we have a last question because we already running about 2 hours. So last question for audience.
你好，我想请问一下 Wesley， 想问一下，就是说中国就是近几年来就是独立的团队越来越多，那你跟他们接触的时候，有没有询问过他们为什么要做独立游戏，或者是你观察到的原因，可以跟我们分享一下？
Wesley有听到吗？
听到。其实对开发者来说，开发者的动因在这边其实就独立开发者可能从状态上来分两种，一种是从大公司出来的，那比方从腾讯或网易这样的大公司出来的，所以他们的第一个动因就是想做一些自己能掌控的，然后自己觉得好玩的游戏，而不是像腾讯、网易那样比较大的，然后比较套路化的那种网游这样子。对，然后还有一种人是学生其实现在也越来越多，可能大学毕业就出来做独立游戏，甚至可能就也有包括大学毕业1年、2年之内就出来做独立游戏。那基本上他们是玩的游戏比较多，然后也是想做一些觉得自己觉得好玩的游戏，所以这是 他们最初的一个动因，所以大多数人其实并没有想太多，没有考虑，比较少考虑市场方面的东西。对，当然也有人会看到说可能 Steam 上是有一些机会去尝试的，但是的确就像刚刚 Justin 也提到，就可能现在的失败率是比较高的。那在中国的中国这边 case 来说，就是失败的一个重要的原因，倒不只是因为市场的拥挤，还有一个比较大的原因是可能 开发者准备不足吧，能力上还不够。对，所以大家的初衷都还是从自身出发去想说做独立游戏。对，就这样。
好，感谢。那我想最后可不可以请就是 Justin 跟 Wesley， can you both give us a little bit closing remarks on maybe your next thing or like indie scene in general? Who want to start first? Okay, Justin.
Sure. I think with game development, the absolute most important thing is to have fun with it and to enjoy every step if possible. So if that means doing game jams, doing events like this, or just making small prototypes for fun, I think that's kind of what this is about, in my opinion. I think to actually make and finish a game, the hardest thing is the sort of mental fortitude, it's just very hard mentally to be able to actually finish something. So if you guys are working on your first project or something, I suggest doing game jams, because game jams teach you how to actually finish something in a short amount of time. And I think one of the most important lessons I learned from working in a big video game company was how to cut things and how to let go. And if something's not working, you let go. Even if it's something that you dreamed about from when you were 10, if you try it and it doesn't work, just let it go. Because in the end, you have to actually finish something. And sometimes that's the hardest part. There's a million great game ideas, but what separates good games from bad games is the execution, is how you actually worked and finished on it, and how hard you tried to make everything as best as possible. So yeah, try and have fun.
No pressure. Wesley 呢？
对，我觉得 Justin 的建议其实非常好，就是我的确也看到太多开发者在这个部分失败，就是一定要把一个游戏做完，就是一定要知道怎么把游戏做完，怎么去把自己的 scope 控制好。对，其实我们之前在这个中国，或者说在内部分享的时候，也都会讲到可能独立游戏的成功模式大概有那么几种。那其实就怎么去控制 scope 是非常重要的一件事情。那但是我要给大家一个建议，其实就不是这个啦，但是我想说的就是，其实我之前也讲过，我觉得对于台湾开发者来说，其实现在是很好的机会。我真的希望，因为台湾开发者在对于中国文化来说，肯定是比西方的开发者是有很大的优势在，然后比中国的开发者来说，台湾的可能在设计能力上是有优势的。我们小时候都是玩台湾游戏长大的，对，我们希望台湾的 indie game 能回来，台湾的游戏能回来。我觉得这个是一个机会对大家，希望大家可以就是不一定专门为中国市场设计，但也可以考虑到中国市场在内，毕竟这是你们的优势之一。OK， 谢谢。
Okay, so thank you guys for joining us, and it's been 2 hours, and I assume you're also very tired now. So I think, how about all the audience give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Very fun.
Okay.
Okay. See you guys in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. well， 现在时间刚好过12点，那就也是感谢大家今天早上来参加我们2月份这场分享会。那原则上我们下午如果还有人要留在这边的话，下午我们会再开一阵子，但是就是我们应该还是会先去出去吃饭这样。好，那就是先感谢大家今天来参加，那我们就散会。好，谢谢。